Hello students, I am RG ma'am is with you to start the lecture number 1 of the new chapter reaching the age of adolescence. So students, this is the last chapter of your class 8 and we have read about so many chapters that are too interesting to know new facts. So students, in this chapter we are going to discuss about that how a human from a child stage reaches the age of adolescence. Now what is adolescence? We are going to discover this thing in this particular chapter. Now students, you have seen this thing that if a child grows, then its bodily changes occurs. If you are growing, you are seeing some kind of changes inside your body. Now, if a person becomes mature enough after the age of 18, then it is known as what? Adult. Now, why we are calling it adult, students? Because they have become matured in each and every part of their body, respectively towards their each and every organ. Now students, what is an adolescent stage? Adolescent stage is a stage where a person prepares in its body to become matured enough for running each and every activity of their life properly by themselves. They do not need any kind of support system for their body. As you can think this thing, student, that when you were in your childish age, you need your mother and father to support your body to walk, to run and to perform each and every activity of your daily life routine. But now it has reached the age of puberty, that is the age of 13 years above, in which a person prepares its body to perform each and every activity by itself. And newly body changes can be observed in the person body, like the development of different kind of characteristics inside a person's body. So we are going to see that how the adolescent changes in a people, that you can see here in this diagrammatic way also that there is a very small infant. Now when it grows, the height of a person changes, the hairy portion of a person changes in different parts of the body, the voice becomes deeper or the frequency of voice changes. And nextly we see that when we become matured enough, we perform all the activities and even we prepare our brain also to perform each and every activity. Nextly, when we become older, then our body cells shrink, the aging occurs. Now why does aging occur? We are going to discuss all these things in this particular chapter. Actually, the endocrine glands which are situated in our body plays a major role in making a person adolescent. Okay, the puberty age when reaches, a small baby becomes matured enough. Okay, now maturity stage when reaches, then what happens? Bodily changes can be seen in a male and a female body. Okay, so we are going to discover all these things in this particular chapter. We are going to discuss that what are the major changes that occurs in a particular female, that if she becomes mature, that is at the age of 13, the puberty stage arrives, in which the menstrual cycle, enlargement of the breast, growthy hair can be seen in a body. Now if we talk about a male body, then the development of the beards and mustaches can be seen, or even the Adam's apple which is situated in the neck portion of a male grows in size, the increase in the height can be seen, and different kind of bodily changes, the secretion of the sex hormones also gets started, and even the development of the secondary sexual characters also starts when a person reaches the age of adolescence. So we are going to discuss all these things in this particular chapter. So students, let's see the content portion of today's lecture number 1. So let us see firstly the content portion. So firstly we are going to do the introduction of reaching the age of adolescence, in which you will be made familiar with all the terms which I am going to use during this particular lecture. Nextly we are going to talk about the puberty stage which occurs in a male and even in a female. Nextly, we are going to talk about the most important part that is known as endocrine glands. Actually, endocrine glands are situated in different parts of a body of a person. So they do the secretions, and because of the secretion of endocrine glands, a person's body become mature. Now, how they become mature, what are these glands, how they are playing an important role in the development of a human body, we are going to see all these things in this particular lecture today. So let us start with the first thing, that is introduction about the reaching of age of adolescence. So students, you have read about how do organisms reproduce. Similar to that chapter, some things will come in your mind, and all these things are related to the adolescent stage. We are going to relate that chapter with this chapter as well, so that we can make our mind free of all these things, that how the things are occurring in a human body. So let us start with the first point. Adolescence is the transitional stage of human development during which a juvenile matures into an adult. So it is a mediator stage between a juvenile, means an infant stage, and an adult. Means in this stage, person is going from a childish stage toward the adult stage. Okay. Now, it is the phase in which physical and more subtle changes are noticed in the children. So children notice some subtle changes that are occurring in their body, that is the hairy growth can occur in their body, the voice even deepens, the voice pitch changes, and even the increase in the height occurs. Development of the secondary sexual characters can also be seen in a person's body. Okay. Now, next point. The World Health Organization WHO defines adolescence as the period of life between 10 to 19 years of age. Okay, so from 10 to 19 years of age, we can say that this stage is known as what? Adolescent stage of a person. Next point, it is a period of transition from a child to adult. That is the period in human development that occurs during teenage years, between the end of childhood and the start of adulthood. And this is characterized by various physical and emotional changes associated with development of the reproductive system. Now, I want to make this point clear, students. What happens actually, the reproductive part which are present inside a male or a female develops some kind of hormones which are responsible for the secondary sexual characters in a human being. And even the hypothalamus, which is situated inside our brain, plays a greater role in the development of a child from a small infant stage to an adult. And the stage between the teenage years of a child is considered as an adolescent stage. Okay. Now, during adolescence, the body undergoes several changes. Now, what happens during adolescence, student? Various changes can occur inside a body of a person. These changes mark the onset of puberty. So, at the age of 12 to 13 moving of a child, this stage is marked as puberty stage. That is the beginning of body's journey to become an adult. Okay, so what happens? The adolescent stage is a stage in which the childish stage is ended and the developing stage has been started to become an adult. Okay, students. Now, we are going to talk about the most important topic of today's lecture, that is puberty. What is puberty? Okay. So, it is the period of sexual maturity when reproductive organs become functional. Actually, what happens when a child is of 9 to 10 years of age, then their reproductive part do not play a major role. Their growth hormones play a major role in developing the child from an infant stage to 10 years of age. Now, what happens after 10 years of age, student? The reproductive system gets active in our body, and what happens? The reproductive parts become mature enough to secrete different kind of hormones for development of certain characteristics in a human being. Okay, in human females, age of puberty is 10 to 14 years of age, and in males it is 13 to 16 years of age. So you can consider the age of puberty of female and male. In females, it is 10 to 14 years of age, and if we talk about males, then it is 13 to 16 years of age. Okay, now you can see here that what are the different changes which can occur in a female and a male. So if you consider here that in a female, the menstrual cycle is started at the age of 10 to 14 years of age. Okay, and hairy growth on the body can be seen. Okay, even the enlargement of the breast can be seen. Okay, now if we talk about males in 13 to 16 years of age, then what happens? The development of, or we can say the appearance of, mustaches and beards occurs. Okay, and next if we talk about the development of Adam's apple, that is the size of Adam's apple situated in the neck increases, and even the voice gets deeper. Okay, so these are the bodily changes which can be seen during this age of a particular female and a male. Okay, and it is a transition stage in adolescence. Okay, so it is a transition from a childish stage to become an adult. Okay, students. Now, next point, we are going to see the changes at puberty. So what are the different changes at puberty? So first change that can be seen during puberty is increase in height of a person. If the height of a person increases, then we can say a person has reached the age of puberty, because in this stage the height increases rapidly, not slowly. If we talk about a child from 0 to 10 years of age, the height increases very slowly, but after 10 to 16 years of age, what happens? The height increases very rapidly. The growth hormones in our body plays a greater role in increase of the height of a person. So the height increases due to elongation of bones in the body. Arms and legs get longer along with the internal body organs. So with internal body organs also, the limbs of a person, that is the hind limbs and the forelimbs, gets increase in size. Next, height of a person mainly depends on genes that they inherit from their parents. Okay, so what happens actually, if I am getting the genes of my parent, then my height will be according to the genes of my parent. Okay, if I am not indulged in any kind of physical activity or any sports, then my height will resemble with my parent only. Why this is so? Because I have the genes inherited from my parent. You can compare your height with your parent. You will come to know about this thing, that you have got genes from your parent, and because of which your height is looking somewhat similar to your parent. But student, if a child is indulged in any kind of sport or any physical activity, then what will happen? The height size may be more or less. Okay, now next, but nutritional factors are also important for growth. Initially, girls grow faster than boys, but by about of age of 18 years of age, both reach their maximum height. So after the age of 18 years of age, we can see this thing, that the height of a person stops. Means if the height has been developed till 18 years of age, then what will happen after that? No height development or increase in height can be seen. Okay, the height of a person stops at the age of 18. Okay, now next point, the following table gives the average rate of growth in height of boys and girls with age. Now you can see in this table, students, what happens? We can see the changes in the height according to the age of the person. Now if the boy is of only 8 years, then the height of boy increases 72%. But if we talk about girls, then it increases 77%. Now you can see in this chart that the girls are growing more faster as compared to boys. Okay, so now if the boy reach 9 years of age, then boy's height grow 75%, but girls' height grows 81%. So you can see that there is a great difference between the percentage of growth between a male and a female. Okay, a female body is totally different from a male body. Remember this thing. Okay, now next question, age in years, that is 10, then 78% height growth can be seen. But if we talk about girls, then 84% only. Next is 11 years of age, then 81% and 88% in girls. 12 years of age, 84% in boys and 91% in girls. Next, 13 years of age, 88% in boys and 95% in girls. Next, 14 years of age, 92% in boys, next 98% in girls, and so on. And if we see here the last stage of growth of the body, that is 18 years of age, so 100% full height have been grown, and next 100% full height have been grown of the girl and a boy. So after age of 18, no increase in size can be seen, that is no increase in height can be seen. Okay, now calculation for full height, that is in centimeter. If some people want to calculate their height in centimeters, then you can use the formula like present height divided by percentage of full height at this stage at given in the chart, multiply by 100. So through this formula, a person can measure the accurate height of itself. Okay, now one can use this formula and table to work out how tall he or she is likely to be. Okay, now changes in the body shape can be seen during the age of puberty. Next, at puberty, the voice box or the larynx, that is Adam's apple, begins to grow. Okay, so this Adam's apple, which is situated in the neck portion only in males, grows in size. Next, increase activity of sweat and sebaceous gland. Okay, so sweating portion also increases in the male and a female at the age of adolescence. Next, development of sex organs. So sex organs also get developed at the age of adolescence. As I told you, in female the menstrual cycle starts, and if we talk about males, then the secretion of the sperms also gets started up, because testicular secretion also starts. Next, reaching mental, intellectual and emotional maturity as well. At the age of 10 years, a person do not feel any kind of more emotional activities and feelings inside it. Why? Because there are no sex hormones which are playing a greater role in its body. But as a person reaches the age of puberty, what happens? The sex hormones started secreting in its body, and because of their secretion, more maturity occurs, more emotional feelings get developed. Okay, students. Now, students, we are going to talk about the secondary sexual characteristics development in girls during puberty. What are the different kind of changes in a girl can be seen at the age of puberty? If you are a girl and watching this video, then you can compare the changes which have been occurred in your body from your class 6 to your class 8. You can see what are the bodily changes you are observing. Okay, so let us see what are the changes that occurs. First is the development of the breast size. So what happens? The increment in the breast size occurs. Next, development of pubic and armpit hair. So hairy growth occurs in the armpit and even the gonadal regions, that is the pubic hairs, get developed. Next, broadening of pelvic part. So the lower portion gets broadened because of the starting of menstrual cycle. Next, beginning of menstrual cycle. So menstrual cycle also begins at the age of puberty. So these are the changes which can be seen in a girl which is developing from a small infant age to an adolescent girl, and after adolescence they become mature enough to accomplish all the activities by itself. Okay, now next we are going to talk about the secondary sexual characteristics developed in boys during puberty. So when boys reaches the age of puberty, what are the different kind of changes that can be seen in their body? So first is development of beard and mustaches. So beards and mustaches get developed inside a particular male. Next, voice becomes deeper. So as I told you, the voice becomes heavier or deeper in a particular male. Next, development of pubic hairs. So in gonadal regions and in armpits, the pubic hairs get developed in the gonadal region, and in armpits also the hairs growth can be seen. Okay. Now students, next is the role of hormones in adolescence. What are the role of hormones of a person in developing from a childish stage to an adult stage? Actually, our body consists of different kind of hormones which play a greater role in making a child to an adult, and this stage in which a child stage stops and adult stage developing start is known as what? Adolescence, as I told you. Okay, so during the period of puberty, the sex hormones bring about changes in the body. So as a person reaches the age of puberty, the sex hormones plays a greater role over here. These are called as secondary sexual characteristics, which are as follows. So in a person's body, secondary sexual characteristics can be seen. So how they can be seen? Let us see. So first is, boys develop deep voice, beard and mustache, and large hands and feet. So if we talk about a male, then what happens? The voice becomes deeper, the limbs growth occurs, the forelimbs and the hind limbs starts to grow, means we can see the increase in the height of a person. Next, girls develop breast and begin to menstruate. So menstrual cycle occurs in girls, and even the breast size also increases. Next, reproductive organs grow and start functioning. So reproductive organs which are present inside a male or a female start functioning, means the parts which are present in them starts to produce hormones that play a greater role in the development of secondary sexual characteristics in a person. Okay. Next, changes in behavior and attitude can be seen. Now you have seen this thing that you are becoming matured, then the changes in your behavior and attitude can be observed clearly. How you will observe it? That when you were childish, you were not thinking too much about any kind of feelings. You just play your part and then go to sleep, go to school. But when you are becoming matured at the age of 16 to 18 years of age, then you can see the bodily changes occurs. Mainly in females, the mood swings can be seen. Why? Because of the presence of different sex hormones in her body. Okay. Now, the biological processes associated with puberty include the prominent maturation of several endocrine glands with consequent physical growth and sexual development. So, all the things which are present inside a male or a female body after the age of puberty, many new bodily changes can be observed in a male and a female body. And even the endocrine glands play a greater role. As I told you, all the hormones which are playing a greater role in the development of a body of male or a female are secreted from the endocrine glands. And we are going to discuss about endocrine glands in the next upcoming slide, that how they are responsible for the development of a child to an adult. Okay. Now, chemical coordination in animals. So we are going to discuss about that how the hormones, actually what are hormones? Hormones are just the chemical messengers that are traveling inside a particular human body, and they are giving messages to the different organs of the body to get activated and perform their function. So here students, we are going to see the chemical coordination in animals. So first point is, coordination in animals is brought about by secretions of the endocrine glands. Okay, so chemical coordination is just brought about the secretions of the endocrine gland. Next, endocrine glands are ductless glands which secrete the chemical substances which act as a messenger called hormones directly into the blood stream. Means they do not need any kind of ducts for their secretions. Actually, what happens, there are two type of glands which are present inside a human body. First is exocrine gland and second one is endocrine gland. Now if we talk about exocrine gland, then they need the ducts for their secretions. But if we are going to talk about endocrine gland, they just pour their secretions directly inside the blood stream. Okay, so any chemical substance which is formed in the tissues of endocrine gland and are carried by blood to other parts of the body for its specific actions is termed as hormones. So what are hormones? Actually, they are the chemical messengers which are secreted by some endocrine glands directly in the bloodstream, and they are really responsible for the growth of a person from a childish stage towards the adulthood. Okay, now an organ which responds to such a hormone is known as target organ. So target organ is an organ which responds to such chemical messengers which are secreted or poured into the bloodstream by the endocrine glands. Okay, now characteristics of hormones. What are the characteristics of hormones? We are going to read this thing. So first is they are the secretions of endocrine glands. So they are what? The chemical messengers which are secreted by the endocrine glands directly in the bloodstream. Next point, they are produced at a place and act on target organ which are mainly away from their source. Actually, what happens if endocrine gland is situated in the brain, then what happens? They pour their secretion in the bloodstream, and through blood the chemical messengers are moving inside the different target organs inside our body. Okay, now next, they are poured directly into the bloodstream. Remember this thing, students, because it is a very important point. Okay, you have to remember this thing, that endocrine gland pour their secretions directly inside the blood. Next, they are required in very small quantities. Okay, they are not required in large quantities. Next, they are specific in function. So why they are specific in function? Because they functions specifically for a particular target organ. If a hormone is secreted for a particular organ, then they will go to that target organ only. Okay, they will not disturb other organs' function. So they are specific for their function. Next, chemically they are mainly proteins. Okay, so what are they? They are proteins. Actually, proteins are the building blocks of our body, or we can say proteins are made up of what? Amino acids. So if we are consuming amino acid in a good amount, then proteins are formed inside our body in a good amount, and what we do, we develop all the characteristics from a childish stage towards the adult stage. So protein is necessary, so please eat protein in a good amount in your diet. Okay, so these are the characteristics of hormone. You have to remember. Sometime questions may be asked from this part as well. Okay, now they are harmful if present in less or excess amount. Remember this thing, student. If the hormones are present in lesser amount, then the development of a particular child does not take place properly. Now if they are present in more amount, then what will happen? All the cells will become hyperactive, and because of hyperactivity, the sequence of all the steps will get disturbed. Even the functioning of different target organs get disturbed. Okay, so excess hormones are very bad for a person's body, and less hormones are causing different kind of diseases in a person's body as well. So they have to take hormone externally through a tablet. Okay, now we are going to discuss about various endocrine glands present in a human body. So what are the endocrine glands? As I told you, these are the glands which are situated inside our body. They pour their secretions in the form of hormones directly into the blood stream. Remember this thing. Okay, now we are going to see various endocrine glands which are present inside a human body. So first is hypothalamus, which is situated inside our brain. Second is pituitary gland or hypophysis. This is also known as master gland of our body, because it is really responsible for the regulation and even the coordination of our body. Okay, so this is also known as master gland of our body. Next, pineal gland. Pineal gland is also responsible for the biological clock maintenance of our body. Next is thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is responsible for secretion of thyroid stimulating hormone and even T3 and T4 for the maintenance of different hormones and sex hormones inside our body. Next, parathyroid gland. Even parathyroid gland is responsible for this functioning only. Next is thymus gland. Thymus gland is a very small gland which is situated between the lungs of our body. I will tell you about all the functions of these endocrine glands. Don't worry, students. I am just telling you about the names of all the endocrine glands, so please remember them. Next is adrenal gland. Adrenal gland is a gland which is situated just above the kidney of our body and responsible for secretion of adrenaline hormone. Next, pancreas. Pancreas is a very important endocrine gland responsible for the secretion of insulin in the bloodstream. And if insulin decreases, then blood glucose level increases, causing the diabetes mellitus in a person. Next, ovaries. Ovaries are responsible for the development of sexual characters in a female only, because they are situated inside only and only female, not in males. Next is testes. Testes are situated in males only. They are present in males only. They are not present in females. They are responsible for the development of secondary sexual characteristics and also for the secretion of sperms. Okay, so all these are the endocrine glands which are present in a human body except ovaries and testes. Ovaries are present only in females. A pair of ovary is present in female, and if we talk about testes, then a pair of testes is present in male. Okay, and all these glands are common in the female and male as well. Okay, students, so please remember the names of the endocrine glands. We are going to briefly discuss all these glands in a sequential way. Okay, now students, let us see all the endocrine glands which we have named in the previous slide. So what are endocrine glands? You have understood all these things very clearly. Now we are going to see that where the endocrine glands are located in a human body. Inside our brain part, inside our bodily parts, inside the gonadal regions as well. So you have been familiar with all the names of the endocrine glands like hypothalamus, thalamus, pituitary gland, pineal gland, and we move on deeper in our body, then we can see the thymus gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, which is situated in the neck portion of a human body. Now nextly, if you see this thing, that adrenal glands are located just above the kidney in our body. Nextly, the pancreas, the uterus, which is present only and only in females. Next is ovary, which are a part of the female reproductive system in females, and the last part, that is testes, which is present only and only in males. So ovaries and testes are differentiating a male body and a female body, and they are responsible for the development of secondary sexual characteristics inside a human being. Okay, so let us take a look of all the functions which are performed by the different endocrine glands in a human body. So if you see here, the first endocrine gland is known as what? The pineal gland. Actually, pineal gland is a very small size gland which is present in a human body, and this pineal gland is responsible for the biological clock of a human being, and this biological clock is also known as circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm. Okay, it secretes a hormone melatonin which is responsible for causing the sleepiness in a human being. So if we sleep at 12 o'clock in night and we get up at 6 o'clock in morning, then this cycle is being fixed inside a human body. So you will feel the sleepiness automatically at 12 o'clock and you will get earlier at 6 o'clock. You will wake up at 6 o'clock immediately according to this hormone, the melatonin hormone. Okay, now next, if we talk about the thalamus. So thalamus is a part of hypothalamus which is useful for the chemical coordination in human beings. Okay, now next is hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is a part which connects the thalamus to the pituitary for the coordination of all the different hormones in a human being. Next, if we talk about is the pituitary gland. As I told you before this thing, I am writing it here. Pituitary gland is known as the master gland of the body. Now, why it is known as master gland? Because it is responsible for the coordination of all the hormones which are produced inside a human body. Okay. So, pituitary gland is really responsible for all the coordination of all different hormones in a human body. Okay. Now, next if we talk about the smallest gland which is present in the neck portion of a human body is thyroid gland. Okay. So, this thyroid gland consists of thyroid cartilage of the larynx and parathyroid glands which are situated on the back portion in the form of yellow dotted structure. Okay, so what are the role of the thyroid gland? Actually, thyroid gland is responsible for the fat metabolism and even the amount of energy which is expended for doing work in a human being. If the person is suffering from hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism, then the metabolism of the body gets disturbed and even the energy efficiency of a person gets decreased. Okay, so this is the major hormone which is responsible for the energy maintenance in a human body. Okay, now next, if we see that this thyroid gland is connected to the trachea region. Actually, trachea is just a connecting bone between the lungs, and this thyroid gland is situated in the above tracheal part, means below larynx and above trachea the thyroid gland is situated. Okay, now if you see here students, this is the thymus gland which is situated just below the trachea region. Okay, we are going to discuss about the thymus gland later on. Now, the adrenal glands which are situated just above the kidneys. Actually, this adrenal gland is responsible for the secretion of a hormone which is known as adrenaline, and even it secretes the steroids. And these steroids are also known as what? Aldosterone and cortisol. Okay, so aldosterone and cortisol are the two type of steroids which are secreted by the adrenal gland which is situated just above the kidney, and even the adrenaline, which is also a very important hormone which is present inside a human body. Okay, now next is pancreas. Pancreas is just a small organ which is located here just near the kidneys. Now, pancreas is responsible for the secretion of the hormone named as insulin, and this insulin hormone is responsible for the maintenance of blood glucose level in a human being. Now, if the insulin is not secreted in a proper amount through pancreas, then a person can suffer from a disease which is known as diabetes mellitus. And in this diabetes mellitus, what happens? The blood glucose level of a person increases because the insulin is not secreted in a proper amount from the pancreas. Even it can cause severe type of problem in a human being. The wound, if caused in a human being, does not get repaired up by a proper time because of the secretion of higher amount of glucose in a blood. So, this hormone plays a greater role for maintaining the glucose levels inside the blood of a human being. Okay, now next, endocrine gland, which is known as what? Ovaries. Ovaries are present in only females. It is absent in males. Remember this thing. Actually, the female reproductive system consists of uterus and ovaries, which are playing a greater important role in their life. Ovaries are just present near the fimbriae portion. The ovaries release the ova each and every month. Actually, there are pair of ovaries, the right ovary and the left ovary. The left ovary releases a ova in a month, then the next month the right ovary releases the ova. This is how the alternative mechanism plays a greater role. Now, when this ova becomes matured, then it is ready for the fertilization, and if it does not get fertilized then what happens? It gets shrink and then gets shed off in the form of menstrual cycle in only and only females. It does not occur in males. Why? Because ovaries are absent in males. Remember this thing. Now these ovaries are responsible for the release of ova and also different kind of sexual hormones, just like progesterone and estrogen, which are useful for the development of secondary sexual characteristics in a human female. Okay, we are going to talk about all these things in the next lecture as well. So this is just a short overview that how they are playing a greater role in the development of a female. Okay, now if you see here, the next and the last endocrine gland, which is known as what? Testes, which is present only and only in males. It is absent in females. Now what happens? These testes prepare themselves to secrete the sperm. Okay, and these sperms are highly motile. When they enters the vaginal passage of a female, they get fertilized with the egg, forming the zygote and the development of the baby that occurs inside the uterus of the female. So testes contains many portions like seminal vesicle, seminiferous tubules, epididymis, vasa efferentia, vasa deferens, which we have read in how do organisms reproduce. Okay, in that part we have read about the male reproductive system. So if you do not know about testes, you can watch that lecture video, students, so that you get the whole information about testes. And testes are responsible for the formation of the sperms inside it that are excreted out through the penis portion of the males. Okay, students, so all these are the endocrine glands which are playing a greater role in the human being for the development of all the types of hormones and the secondary sexual characteristics in a person. Okay, now students, you can see here in this picture, so there are different type of glands which are secreting the different kind of hormones. Like you can see here the hypothalamus, which is situated inside our brain, pineal gland, which is of P-shaped, situated inside the brain, pituitary gland, even thyroid gland, which is situated inside the neck part of the body, that is between the voice box and the trachea. Okay, now the parathyroid gland, which is situated at the posterior part of the thyroid gland. Okay, now thymus. Next is the adrenal gland, which are also known as suprarenal gland, situated on the above part of the kidney. Okay, the islets of Langerhans, which are secreted in the pancreas, and the ovaries in females and the testes in the males. So these are all the endocrine glands which are present in the human body. Now students, we have completed about the endocrine system completely. So let us just revise all the endocrine glands so that we do not forget their secretions inside the body, and we will revise each and everything through a very small video clip. So you can see here that endocrine glands are just pouring their secretion in the bloodstream, and these blood are traveling throughout the body and pouring the secretions in that part in which the body is in need. Okay, now you can see here that different parts of the brain are responsible, like the hypothalamus is responsible for the different secretions. Okay, it is controlling all the secretions of the body. Okay, a person is getting developed because of the secretions only. Okay, now this is the part which is known as what? The thyroid gland. As I told you, it is just situated between the voice box and the trachea. Okay, now pancreas, which is secreting the secretions, but it is inside the duct, which is the exocrine gland. Okay, next we are going to see the different kind of secretions which are running inside our bloodstream. Okay, our body is just fighting with different kind of infections as well, and useful for developing of different kind of organs. Okay students, so you can see here that a body is very complex of a human being, and it is developed because of the secretions of different kind of hormones. Okay, now the ovaries in the females are responsible for their sexual development, and testes in male are responsible for the secretion of testosterone hormone. Now students, there is a very small trick to remember all the endocrine glands which we have read till now. So it is a very short trick for you all, so that you can remember all the endocrine glands in a very easier way and in a very simplified form. So here students, we are going to write all the endocrine glands respectively, and you are going to understand each and everything very, very clearly. Okay, so I am going to tell you about the small trick of endocrine glands. So let's put on the topic firstly, endocrine glands. Okay, now there is a small difficulty for you children to understand the endocrine glands and even to remember them. So I have found a very small trick for you all. Okay, so you can learn it like that. H4P O A T T. Okay, now this is a very small trick. H4P O A T T. Okay, now I will explain you it in a very descriptive way so that you can remember each and every endocrine gland. So here H resembles to hypothalamus. Okay, this H resembles to hypothalamus. Now we are going to make descriptive the 4P. Why we are using 4P over here? Because there are 4 endocrine glands whose names start with letter P. Okay, so I am writing it over here. I am just doing the division so that you do not get confused. So there are 4 P's. So first one is the master gland, and master gland name is what? Pituitary gland. Pituitary gland. Next one is pineal gland, responsible for the regulation of biological clock, or we can say the circadian rhythm of a body. Okay, now next one is pancreas, responsible for maintaining the blood glucose level. And the last one, that is parathyroid gland. Okay, parathyroid gland. Now here O represents ovaries, which are present only and only in females. Okay, next it is adrenal gland. Next T represent thyroid gland. Now next here it represent what? Testes. Okay, so this is how, this is a very small trick. So you can learn each and every endocrine gland in a very easier way. Okay, remember this trick, H4P-OATT. Okay, so I am marking it with a blue colored pen so that you can remember this trick very, very easily. Okay, so you can write it in your notebooks that this is a very easier trick to remember each and every endocrine gland. Okay students, now students, this is your assignment number 1 related to this lecture number 1. Okay, you have to solve the module related to this lecture. Please do your daily analysis because it is very important if you are reading the lecture videos. Through lecture videos, you will get to come to know about many different kind of things in this particular chapter which are related to yourself as well. Why? Because you are at the age of adolescence and you are watching all the bodily changes which are occurring inside you. So students, you should do the assignment because it is necessary for your analysis. So I have completed the lecture number 1 students, and I am just going to leave and we are going to meet again in the lecture number 2, in which we are going to see the different kind of endocrine glands which are present inside a human body, how they play a greater role in the development of human body and the development from a childish towards an adulthood stage, and between this stage arises, that is adolescent stage, and in which all the changes in a human body takes place so that a child can becomes totally mature and become an adult human being. So we are going to see all these changes in the next lecture as well. In this lecture we have seen that how adolescence occur in a male and a female, and what are the endocrine glands which are responsible for their chemical secretions. Okay students, so give me the permission to leave. Thank you.